All right, welcome back. It's been a little bit, but I want to go over kind of where we're at with I guess in the US, it's called Remote ID that FAA is requiring on drones over a certain weight, and it's probably going throughout Europe as well. But I had did some previous videos on decoding specifically the Bluetooth 5 long range extended packets off of a Holy Stone remote ID transmitter. And the last couple weeks or so, I was kind of messing around with a way of kind of headlessly decoding the information and getting it over into cursory on target for attack server. And I still do have that, but just the last couple days, this repository, the gentleman behind this repository here, really kind of made everything much easier by incorporating the coding of the drone ID right within the Sniffle application itself, basically. So I want to pull this in. This will be part of the WarDragon base image, so that and also DragonOS, the install and the new ISO. I'll pull it in there too. But this will allow the hardware that is pre-configured in the WarDragon, essentially the secondary, what am I trying to say, the Sonoff dongle that is in the WarDragon kit. Not to say that you can't get one, the correct one, and do this on your own. That's why I'm going through and showing this right now. But for those that have the hardware already, it's kind of all there and integrated in with some additional things accounted for in the WarDragon. So anyways, stick with me here. I think this is really exciting. I hope that I can make it exciting or more exciting with the equipment that I have around me. But you just kind of got to do it yourself, I think, to really appreciate what's going on here. Uh, Let me think. So the setup here, I've got a WarDragon. We're going to get clone in this fork of the Sniffle software, which this will be already included in the WarDragon and eventually the DragonOS ISO image. But if you got the WarDragon, you'll notice in the home directory there's WarDragon, and there's some other additional applications that I post install. There is the stock Sniffle there as well, but we're going to get clone this fork of repo down. I'll move the one Sniffle to original, and we'll get clone. Let's see, the fork down. Okay, that pretty much takes care of that. If we look at the stock Sniffle, you can see, if you need to, under the releases, you can go and you can grab this particular file here for the Sonoff dongle that I'm using. This one is the file that is needed. Let's see. And if we wanted to just remind ourselves how to flash the dongle, has to be this specific one, we can take the command here. We can also use the repo that is linked to here to flash, or even better yet, let's see, you go this gentleman's. Let's see. I'm basically just trying to get to his repositories, and he actually has a fork that just fixes like a couple minor things. So either or, it works. Uh, we can get clone down this repository, which I already have in the, let's see, already have in the WarDragon. And what you'll want to do is use the command that it refers to here. I'm just going to copy that for a second. And the only other thing is, let me see, I'll move, I guess, home, Dragon, downloads, the Sniffle file right here, basically into just the same directory as the flashing tool. And let's see, TTY USB, you need to specify, that's fine, bootloader, yep. Oh yeah, so I'll take care of this too in the WarDragon. Some people say don't use sudo. I know why. You can install with just pip3 install Intel hex. The sudo would install it system wide. There is some things that I do that with. I'm just acknowledging that now, especially with the DragonOS ISO itself, so that no matter what user you create, you have access to that. But let's just, for the sake of this video, I'll leave the sudo off and we'll just do pip3 install Intel hex. And then we can come back up and we'll see that it flashes the dongle. And with this particular build, you won't get really an error there. Like I said, they both flash the dongle just fine, and then I'm just unplugging, plugging back in just to make sure that we can continue on here. So let's see. So now at this point, we'll change into our Python CLI. So we have, let's see, we have the firmware flash, and I actually have two dongles in here because this fork of the repository actually has the ability to essentially craft packets from a JSON, which you'll see in here, and use that to actually transmit. I'm just going to use it for testing purposes for this. I'll also use a real transmitter, but let's see. So really, let's see, we're going to run sniff receiver-h. You'll see that there's been some additional things added, such as baud rate, ZMQ capability, and we're going to take a look at that. Actually, let's just go ahead. I'm trying to do this in a logical order here, and what I want to particularly sniff and detect and decode are the long range Bluetooth 5 long range extended packets. So we'll do the -L, -E, we'll do a -Z because I'm just going to go ahead and throw the ZMQ capability on here, and we'll just do, that's support, whatever, we'll just make one up, and we'll do ZMQ host. Okay. At this point, it is waiting to detect remote drone ID packets, essentially. If I open up another window, see, I'll open up another window. I'll go to WarDragon, Sniffle, that same repo. Now you'll notice in this one I did not specify the serial, the actual device like dev, TTY, USB, 0 or 1. It just defaults to the first one, and the WarDragon of course only has one dongle. Normally I've got a second one plugged in. So now I'm going to do a little test here, and we'll do the drone testing tool. Let's see what we need. So we're going to specify, let's see, we'll do drone.json, which it does by default if you don't specify the file there. And then we'll do dev tty USB 1, because this is going to be the second dongle here is going to transmit, and so what we're looking for is a decode to happen in the first window here. There we go. So we see it detected and decoded open drone ID information, which includes, serial number, location, GPS location if there is one, so on and so forth. Okay, so we did that. That's like the huge thing right there that I really wanted to see working. So now let's take it up a notch. So we know we have ZMQ going. Okay. So on the WarDragon, and if you want to do this with anything else, you just install Docker. I've got directions on the Flight View GUI that I still have up a repository for on GitHub that kind of tries to make some of this easier, or at least document some of this stuff. But in the WarDragon, I have these Dockers in here. One thing I do notice that I may have messed up on a little bit, I deleted the Docker networks to clean up kind of the WarDragon base image. So what you may have to do is, if you look at your Docker images, you'll probably see what you have available there. There may be a better way to do this, but if you try to remove this image, it's probably going to tell you, hey, there's something stopped, a container is stopped. So if you run into a problem, which you probably will, but I'll try and clean that up. You can remove that container, okay? And then, and notice I'm in user source flight view GUI. I'm trying to show you what's already available in the WarDragon. If you want to do this with Node-Red on your own, then obviously follow the Node-Red guide as far as a Docker setup and everything else. But let's see. And I'm not using sudo because I am I'm in the group that's needed to use Docker basically. Otherwise, you'd have to throw sudo in front of there. But let's do docker compose -f, and we're going to tell it to use the Node-Red file that I've got here. I'm just going to I'll leave the -d off so I can see what's going on. This should start up a instance of Node-Red. So we're going to go to localhost 1880, and there's a leftover flow in here. This was from the Kraken setup when it needed to use Node-Red. I'm just going to delete all of that, and obviously if you're setting up Node-Red for the first time, you'll have a fresh little interface here. What we need to add, let's see what we got here. So we've got influx, we have the world map. You probably would need to install that. You should be able to find it by using world, and you would look for world map, which where are we at? Right here. I already have installed. But the other thing we're going to install, we'll look up ZMQ. Let's see, that's 7 years, here 3 years. Let's go with this one here. So we've got ZeroMQ. I'll come over here, and I'm going to import this flow JSON that I have that creates a ZMQ in, and I'll get this information this flow will basically be available in the WarDragon. This is just kind of like a starter get going here. Honestly, it's kind of my first little adventure into making a flow, and I really just wanted to parse the JSON that is, let's see. That's interesting. Well, always good to have something happen here. Let's see. Might be because it's an older. I'm going to remove the container and the image, and we'll see if we can pull the latest and see what happens here. So make note of that. Okay, we got a fresh Node-Red 4.0. Okay. Let's see, we need world. Okay, that's installed. And installed. Okay. Interesting. All right, well, let's see. ZMQ. Maybe it. Let's see. I'm trying to install it again here. Okay, that looks better. There we go. All right, so we need to also take a look at our Docker 0 address here. Because of the way that the networking is set up, I don't think I have the Node-Red Docker as part of like the host network. So when you try to connect, if you were to stick the IP address or 000 of the host to try to connect to that ZMQ server that the remote ID is working or running, sorry, it wouldn't work because of the way that the networking is. But if I use the 172.17.01 address of my Docker 0, which is already there, the port 12345, subscribe. I've not really narrowed topic or fields yet. I'm just looking for the JSON object if possible. The process JSON is configured. It should be looking for the ID of the drone and pulling out the location, and then we'll use the world map and change anything from default here. Basically just open it, click done, and then debug. If I deploy that, oh, another thing, enable, because I had disabled that in testing, but enable the ZeroMQ in, deploy. I get a green connected. Probably got notification of a new subscriber here back over in my the decoding that's waiting to happen. World map, click on it. The map can be found here. So let's zoom way out. just generally see what's going to happen here. Now I'm going to click on the real transmitter here for a second. Okay, there we go. All right, so I'll take note of that. That's the real transmitter that's going right now. There's no GPS probably location on it right at this minute. All right, so it took a minute to get a GPS lock and on the remote ID transmitter, as well as kind of sort through the process JSON here. So I'll adjust and make available just a starter, basically flow process. I'm sure people can do a lot better with more time, and also the cursor on target thing shouldn't be too big a lift now that this is decoding quite nicely. So you can see where the value could come in here on the ability to, especially with Bluetooth long range. I've already tested out over 1 kilometer away and was able to receive the at least the add-on transmitter for a drone. I would think that the manufacturers, as they include probably both Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. Now some like such as I think the DJI Mavic 3 or so, I think only has Wi-Fi when upgraded with the newer firmware, Wi-Fi Remote ID, although it still does the DJI drone ID, but now it's encrypted nowadays, so can't really do much with that. But the at least the Remote ID seems to work pretty nicely. So that's just the default icon there for a plane. Make it whatever you want, but hopefully by following this, you can get up and running. I'll probably do another more concise videos, very specific for the people that have a WarDragon. But at least with the box, the WarDragon kit, everything is there. Really, it's just kind of sorting out the Node-Red Docker, like you saw me kind of messing with in the video here, and I'll try and take care of that already in a new base image for the WarDragon. But if you're just pulling DragonOS down onto a laptop and building it, you probably really won't run into any of the issues anyways, because you would have had to install the newer Node-Red Docker and Docker itself. And okay, yeah, I think I covered everything. You can see the value of not only receiving, but the other capabilities of this fork of Sniffle when it comes to remote drone ID. And yeah, all right, have a great one.